I'm not wording this the way I want to word it. Damn. Hey, what's going on, maniacs? You know who it is. Your favorite greaser and your favorite YouTube greaser channel. Madman here. Alright, so what's doing? Well, by popular request, for those that saw my history of the ducktail, where the ducktail haircut came from, and, kind of who invented it, and to get a basic idea and rundown of that, infamous hairstyle of the 1940s and 50s, well, of course, I had people chatting in. Hey, do one on the pompadour. You gotta cover the pomp. Come on, you gotta do the history of the pomp. Where does it come from? So I obliged. I know, kind of a different angle. Mad Ben, what are you doing? Usually it's front on, and I'm sat here in a weird angle and talking to you. Well, I'm working on a new drawing. For those that are interested in the whole 1950s biker look and style, the whole 50s greaser motorcycle rider type thing, well, I'm working on a new design right now that you cats might really jive with. So I figured I'd work on that and tell you a little bit about the history of the pompadour. So that's what tonight's video is going to be all about, is the history of the pompadour, where it comes from, and why it's a thing, and why it's still a thing, and all that sort of stuff. So follow me on down the rabbit hole, and we'll get into it. So, where does the pompadour come from? The pompadour is named after Madame de Pompadour, 1721 to 1764, the mistress of King Louis XV of France. Holy shit! Damn, that's old. So we got to get this straight. Let me get this straight real quick. The pompadour hairstyle was sported, kind of created and sported, by King Louis XV of France's mistress. Shit, he must have seen her peacocking around, and he's just like, oh, I must have a bit of that, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Ooh, I like you, say hair. Oh, yeah. She's like peacocking around these like big parties or wherever he met her. These like big state dinners, and he's just like, I like that. So if that's not crazy enough, the hairstyle went on to be popular for women through the 18th and 19th century. They were still wearing the pompadour and different variations of it. There's the women's variations, and of course later on became the men's pompadour and the men's variations of the hairstyle. And there's different kinds. Some that go straight up, some that come out and roll, some that are kind of messy, some that swoop back, some that are kind of blocky. There's different variations of pompadours. For any of you maniacs or new people that are coming to the channel that have not followed my channel, those that have followed my channel already know that I've done a ton of pompadour variations throughout my pomade reviews and my hair tutorials. So I think it's pretty cool that the hairstyle has been around that long, and it's still strong to this day. It made a big resurgence in the 1940s and 50s and became popular for men to wear as well as women, because originally started out as a woman's hairstyle. But you figure a lot of people were wearing that hairstyle from the 1940s into the 50s, and it started tapering off in the 60s. In the 1940s, it was very, very common to see the pompadour sported by bachucos, also known as zoot suiters, men and women both alike. And then, of course, into the 1950s with the greaser rebel youth, the very first rock and roll rebel youth, rock and roller types, greasers, hep cats, rockers, teddy boys, all that sort of stuff. They all started sporting it in the 1950s as well. And of course, what made that 40s and 50s resurgence so popular were the celebrities, Hollywood, entertainment folk. And some of the most notable pompadour sporters of the 40s and 50s would be Katharine Hepburn and Betty Davis, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Little Richard, Desi Arnaz, James Dean, Marlon Brando, just to name a few. Madman's name dropping over here. Now, besides the Hollywood crew in the 40s and 50s, the zoot suiters, the pachucos, and then of course the greasers that came along in the late 40s into the 1950s were sporting it for different reasons. Of course, Hollywood and entertainment folk were sporting it because it was, a popular hairstyle. It was pretty cool, and the greasers and pachucos and all of the youth, well, they were sporting it for different reasons. For the greasers, it was a sign of, rebellion. It was a rebellious hairstyle. It was a way to peacock and show off and to kind of make a statement. It's a pretty out there hairstyle. It looks pretty cool, at least in my opinion it does. And I would say the cats from the 1940s and 50s thought so as well. And, the hairstyle is, popular even today, especially today. In today's, I'd say within the last five or so years, it really started to get popular again. And I'm going to go into my own history as well with the pompadour, how I learned how to do it and all that kind of stuff. Give you guys a real breakdown, in-depth look at it. But, over the last 5 years or so, I started seeing the pompadour come back, and it started becoming popular to sport again. Now, what I find interesting is that the pompadour is still going strong to this day, and there's, of course, new modern variations of it as well. You've got celebrities of now that are even still sporting the pompadour, such as Conan O'Brien, Bruno Mars, Morrissey, Justin Timberlake. The names go on and on and on. I'm name dropping a lot over here. But why? Why are they still copying this hairstyle? Because it truly is a classic hairstyle. It's fucking awesome, and everybody should sport one. No, I'm just kidding. So you figure, after the 1950s, when you started getting into the 60s, the hairstyle, the pompadour started to really go out of fashion. People started adopting the whole Beatle haircut look, that shag look, and, the long hippie hair, and stopped taking grooming seriously. We just want to be free. We want to be hippies, peace, drugs, sex, rock and roll in the fields, dude, and all that kind of stuff. So it started to really go away at that point, and it was not a popular hairstyle to sport anymore. Anybody that did was a vintage, a throwback, stuck in a time warp, time to move on. You should too, and all that kind of, shit. But, it's not like there weren't people that were still doing it. There were still holdouts that were greasers from the, the 40s and 50s that really dug the hairstyle, and they stuck with it, God bless them. And then the pompadour started to make its resurgence again in the 1970s. So I would say from mid 70s, late 70s into the 1980s with the 70s, Rockabilly revival era. So there was a lot of cats that were weren't digging the whole, hippie fallout look. They wanted to get back to the roots of American rock and roll and get that rebellion look, and they were just enamored with the culture. I mean, you got to figure that generation had parents that were greasers. They were looking at their old records and stuff like that. They're like, wow, I really like this music. I really like that look, and the culture is really kick-ass. It's really cool. So they brought it back, and they kept it alive. And each generation over the years, different resurgences of the greaser rockabilly culture has really kept the tradition going, even up including mine and the new culture of today as well. Now it takes me to my high school years when I learned how to do the pompadour, and I learned all about it. I was practicing, trying to get it right, trying to get the different pompadour styles I wanted to do correct. And I remember, you got to figure my high school years were the early to mid 2000s. And, nobody was using, pomade back then. Greasers, we were all using the pomade. Nobody understood it. Nobody fucking, why would you use that? Why do you want to use, pomade? Your hair's going to fall out, and, your head's bulletproof. And it's okay. And in looking back now and thinking about it now and looking at all my friends now, we all still have a full head of hair. And we're doing just fine, you know what I mean? And the thing I remember about when I was in high school is that, you got to figure the hairstyles that were popular at that time were, shaved heads, lineups, the whole emo shag look was pretty popular. So actually having a well-crafted pompadour with good hair product in it, being well groomed, at least, hair wise, that was like, whoa, what the fuck? And the guys, man, they didn't understand it. Guys were like, that's stupid. That shit sucks. I don't like it. Why, you look like, Elvis, man. You look like Ponyboy. You look like Fonzie. You look like Danny Zuko. It was that whole thing. And it's like, literally, even cats, notable greasers from like movies, television shows, and artists or whatever, that didn't even sport pompadours. We looked like them, apparently. Like Fonzie. Fonzie didn't wear a pompadour, but we looked like him. Danny Zuko didn't wear a pompadour, but, it looked like Danny Zuko or Pony Boy from Outsiders or whatever. And it was kind of funny because, the guys thought it was stupid. They didn't understand it. They're like, why would you want to do that? And all judgmental. But the girls loved it. The girls were like, oh, your hair is so cool. Wow, your hair is really tall. Can I touch it? Can I see your hair? How do you make your hair look like that? They were like really into that. They're like, that's really cool. And I think the guys were, kind of jealous of that. They're like, man, fucking dumbass greasers. What the fuck is their stupid ass hair? Fucking pony boy. Fucking Elvis wannabe. Fucking assholes. And then I found it funny because within like the last 5 years, all these pomade companies started, coming out. Like everybody and their grandma started with a pomade company. And of course, the pompadour made a big resurgence in the modern era, like I just talked about. You see celebrities wear them. You can go on like Pinterest and Instagram, and you can see all these new variations of pompadours and people sporting them. And the funny thing to me is this. The ones that would have been making fun of it back, when I was younger, are the ones that are now sporting it because, their favorite celebrities are sporting it. You know what I mean? It's like they see their favorite celebrity sporting it. They start seeing it a lot on television. They see it in social media. So then they copy it and then they act like they never made fun of it. When a greaser wears a pompadour, like for me, when I was young, to me, it was like a whole thing of rebellion. It was, making a statement, rebellion, because nobody was doing it back then. People were not into it. It just wasn't done back then. People weren't using pomade. People didn't care about sporting pompadours. They thought it was weird. They didn't understand it, that we're all in time warps. But the pompadour hairstyle still, to this day, is an iconic hairstyle. It was in the 1940s, the 1950s, and it still is to this day. I've spent a lot of years learning and crafting and coming up with techniques and different mixtures of pomade, much of the ones that I've shown you here on my YouTube channel. I've been crafting and learning this for years. So to me, the greasers have always been the keeper of the pompadour. I still, to this day, wear my pompadour and my ducktail as a sign of rebellion. Still a greaser, still going strong. The community is building bigger and bigger. It's making a bigger resurgence, and it's going to keep happening, and it's worldwide. Keeping those 1950s greaser traditions and culture alive. So hopefully you've enjoyed my history about the pompadour, where it comes from, a little bit more about it, how it's changed throughout the years. Shit, what the fuck did I eat? How the pompadour came about, where it came from, why it's still done, how we did it, how I did it back, how I learned how to do it. And trust me, it was not easy to learn. And I went through so many different variations and styles. And that's why I can still do it to this day. And for all those that are still struggling out there, you're young, you're still, you're just getting involved, you're still trying to figure out your hair. You got to understand, well, there goes that. You got to understand your hair type. You've got to understand what products work with your hair, what products don't, and a lot of it is just testing. Keep working at it, keep practicing, keep coming up with ideas. I'll keep doing videos, and I'll give you guys advice on how to do it. And remember, what works for me may not work for you. What products work for me may not work for you. Our hair types are different. We're different people. But, you keep practicing, you keep experimenting, and you will get it. All right? So, again, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully everybody's doing great out there. Just want to make a quick note. Yes, the big blowout live stream is still on. I hit 10K. We're going to do a live stream. Be cool. Be around the holidays, so we'll really get together and have a good live stream. Hang out with all the maniacs worldwide. Thank you for your support, all that kind of stuff. We got Thanksgiving coming up, so hopefully you have a great Thanksgiving. Best to you, best to you and yours, and all that kind of stuff. And old Madman is going to stop ranting and raving and go back to designing because that's what I like to do. But anyway, if you don't know, get a clue, get a brew, get a rock and roll tattoo, hang loose, be safe. Old Madman will catch you on the next one. Madman out. So, did you dig this video and find it helpful? If so, give it a like, subscribe, favorite, share. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and consider subscribing to my Patreon for more rockin' content.